Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. I hope you are doing well. Hey, good morning, BGD. I need to write you back on Discord. Things are going well for the cultists, and, well, you see where we are here. Hey, good morning, Mike. Good morning. Great to see you as well. Let's see. What's been going on? Well, yesterday was a long day. But I am pleased to report there's some level of success I'm experiencing over here. So I put out, which is a good feeling, because it means, some type of justification for some stuff that I've been doing. So over on Facebook, and you might say, well, who uses Facebook? Well, apparently it's still quite a few people. So, we've been struggling. One of the struggles lately has been with the cultists, being that, well, all right, it doesn't really matter what it is if YouTube, doesn't let it go. Now, we've had some success because, YouTube finds it objectionable, often on religious grounds, but for some other reasons as well. So it's basically throttled there. we've had some success on TikTok. So I was trying to learn about the shorts format and was running TikTok. And started putting some things over on TikTok. One of the Cultist ABCs got about 30,000 views on TikTok. One of them over here. But really, what all of a sudden took off is that I've got the Cultist Facebook page. Here, I tell you what, I will post it down here in the chat just in case you are on Facebook. Look, and you're not already connected there. Cultists Facebook. So I was putting out some reels on Facebook, and we got a lot of views. And in fact, this was last night. I think we're up to 420,000 or something like that as of this morning. But I noticed that this morning, the Cthulhu ABCs had last night had 386,000 views, 2.5 thousand shares, and 6.9 thousand reactions. I think we're up over 7,000 now. Or actually, it was a little bit after I had written this. So at least that's some kind of validation that people like. I can actually make something that people like. So Facebook didn't have a problem with the material. Facebook didn't have a problem with the material, and it kind of took off over there. Now, of course, that still means it has to be done again and again, whatever. But at least, hey, there we go. I'm happy about that. So let's see see if I can play it over here. Oh, well, you may not be able to hear it because of the I'm in a different window. But anyway, I just took like A through F of the Cthulhu ABCs and put it over there to do a short with. Yeah, this one right here. So yeah, 7.7 now. So that one is going, and then like this one right here, the follow up here, I would release the next chunk of it, and I think that one has like another 20 or 30,000 views or something like that. So, all right. So I've been trying to figure out what to do with that. So I got to figure out how to continue to leverage that. I would like to, I want to move on here as well from the Cultist, but we've done this re-release here and it's taken longer than expected, especially because of the troubles on YouTube. But maybe I can leverage one of the other platforms here. So, tonight I do have, let's see here. This is over on the Cultist channel. I'm putting out the Cultists season 2 episode 5 tonight. Where is the playlist? Season 2 playlist. Yep. Okay. So tonight we will season 5 episode 5 will be out. Hey, good morning, Bacon. So I'm going to put this link right here. We were just talking about the YouTube success, the Facebook success over with the Cultists. So tonight's Cultist episode right there. And then we also have a re-release of the After Party, where Brianna and I go over that episode. So let's see. We're going over here to live. Season 2, episode 5, live behind the scenes After Party. That will be tonight as well, like right after the show. So Heath and Brianna live After Party. Now that's we're not live. I'll be in the comments, but that was recorded live and now coming back over to this channel. I'm so glad that I've got these behind the scenes. That's, they're very special and provide a lot of insight into the making of the show and stuff like that. Hey, good morning, Robert. Good morning. Love the blue in the hat. Oh, love that blue guy in the hat. What? I'm not sure what we're talking about. All right, so that's what is going on. Like I said, I'm going to try to come up with some other things that might leverage some of the success that we've been having on Facebook. Yeah, who knows? Maybe put some stuff out on Facebook. I don't know. I kind of dropped Facebook a long time. I mean, it just seems like, especially now that I'm not here all the time, managing a whole bunch of different channels or different profiles, especially for different channels and whatever, is a lot. And I had dropped Facebook a long time ago because I had, we had some major success on Facebook a long time ago. But then when I first initially released the Cultists, I did quite a lot of work building a Facebook group for the Cultists. And it's just dead. It never really got like 1,500 people in it. But even years ago, man, you could post things like about making the show and things like that, because I was posting there as we were shooting season 2. And man, even with like 1,000 people in the Facebook group, those posts were going nowhere. So I put a lot of effort into that at one point, and it just kind of went nowhere. But I guess, I haven't ever really experimented with the shorts format on Facebook, and of course, until now, until about last week, the reels. And I did put them on Instagram as well, and they went nowhere on Instagram. Instagram was going nothing, has got nothing going. So I don't know. That's one of the main things I'm doing this afternoon, after I work some more on the cultists here. But I've got some notes here about potential ways to maybe do some additional promotion on Facebook. I guess we will see. All right, let's go over. Let me stop screen sharing, and let's go ahead and bring up our Rabivania book here. There is a lot that I want to do here, including finishing this book and also, but finishing one of the Rabivania stories as well this year. I mean, we're already now into June. I feel like everything goes so slow. Or maybe it's just me that goes slow. All right, so hey, let's do a breathe and sip. I've got water this morning. Let's do a breathe and sip. Let's take 2 deep breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. Here we go. And sip. Here we go. All right. Let's see here. So we had gotten to weapons. Here is index card RPG basic gear list. I was thinking about this, and we had basically gotten through shields, and we need to look at melee weapons here. I was thinking with regard to the different kinds of armor here, we've got full mail here. This is like a armor that envelops the wearer completely in mail, the kind of armor most knights strive to acquire. And yet this is right here available kind of at the start here. So I was wondering, and what I think we might do here is take heavy armor and make that the one which is the mail hauberk. But make heavy armor the one that is the least, or the maximum that you can have at the beginning, because this is a list of things that you're supposed to choose from, and it really doesn't include cost. I noticed that none of this includes cost. This is just pick 4 of whatever you want, which I think is nice. It also, one thing that does, I think, is make the attributes of the equipment more important, in the sense that, well, if you're just pick any one that you want and cost isn't a problem, why would you not always pick heavy armor? Not for for something other than a role-playing reason. I mean, it might not make sense for your damsel to be wearing heavy armor, but if you get to pick whatever you want and you're expecting battle, well, then heavy armor would be the thing to do. Well, what are you giving up? This costs inventory slots, and dex rolls are hard, and disadvantage on stealth checks, etc. So there's something about this here. It's like, well, that's why I might not want it, other than just cost. But it does seem like later on, maybe cost should be, could be included. And I do see something about coins in the Master Edition here, and I wanted to look that up. Let me see if I can find coins. Is there an index? No, there is not. I'll find it probably here at some place. Maybe it's rewards, 86. I don't see coins in the hero coin. Well, nope. Okay. Anyway, I was thinking that, well, maybe we shouldn't have full mail be the one that's here. We've got, as far as upgrading the knight's armor, I was looking at knight. Let's go ahead and see how this works with knight here. Hey, good morning, Andrew. Cost is frequently not a deterrent in the index card RPG, and it's clearly not designed to be in the beginning. Let's see. So I was thinking that maybe with the knight here, starting loot, we've got ancestral weapon, keen blade, and then masterwork heavy armor. right here. This is the one that soaks 2 points of damage, which is really good. But I'm wondering if we move Masterwork Heavy Armor, so potential idea here, move this one with the soak, move this one to Milestone, maybe, and then put the heavy mail, or put the full mail, put the full mail suit here. And then remove it from the basic equipment list. That way, you would still have, you could still have heavy armor. You're giving up quite a bit. BGD was talking about, well, can you go back and pick a starting equipment? And it seemed like in the book, I read something that was like, yes, but other people, like BGD was saying, no, that makes your initial starting selection all the more important. So if you moved Masterwork Heavy Armor to one of the milestones, and this was just some ideas I was having right here, it looked like we were supposed to have 7 of these. I gave everybody Ever Stronger. I hadn't really thought about the milestones and too much of a degree yet, but when I think of something, I'll take a note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could put Masterwork Heavy Armor here, and that way it actually has to be an upgrade. And then I thought that it would be great under Mastery. One of your Mastery ones is to have the Plate Augmented Mail, which I haven't put stats here yet. But this suit is the cutting edge of Rabivanian armor smithing technology and only available from very elite, and that should be armor smiths. And actually such as the ones at the Barony of the Red Mountain. Whenever you wear this armor, whenever you wear this armor, you will be recognized as exceptionally well armored. This may work to your advantage when you're seeking an audience with high nobles and royalties, but it's basically impossible for you to blend in, even around other well-outfitted knights. And so I haven't got stats for that yet, but that would actually allow you to do 3 equipment upgrades, basically, as a knight. Start with heavy armor, or choose to do full mail at the beginning, upgrade to Masterwork, and then if you get Mastery, you get the ultimate suit. I kind of like the way that's going. BG says, it's better to define levels of armor with increasing defense bonuses along with increasing penalties on other kinds of actions. Right, which is where we were going. Right, yes. BGD says, in my original ICRPG Core 2.0 game, I homebrewed 3 general levels of torso armor that grant you defense buffs. Light +1 lets you use your dex bonus for stealth, medium that rolls flat stealth, and heavy armor that makes stealth check hard. That's basically what we were, yeah, so that's basically where we went here, right? So you have to remember to write that in on all the ones. But like heavy armor, disadvantage on stealth, yeah, that's it. That's in here. And then that way, if we're not talking about cost, we don't have to come up with a cost for the full mail, the Masterwork, or the Plate Augmented Mail, because those are upgrade tracks, features to upgrade the knight. And I think that works very well. I've been thinking that I'm really liking this adaptation. I think that works really well. And I did also just have an idea that like what to do with the squires. What if we actually had an upgrade like for the knight, which allows him to take a squire? So yeah, that sounds like an upgrade for the knight, because it also seems like the way that this has been designed, which is perfectly okay. You're starting not as a squire trying to achieve knighthood, and also with the other classes as well. You are basically starting off as the first of, just after you're made whatever it is you are, whether that is knight or especially also druid. You're not training to be a druid. You basically start off as a druid here, and then like you could also have an olave, and some of these others could also have an apprentice. Like the witch could have an apprentice. I was thinking about, so that could be like some way to basically upgrade and get some type of get an assistant, right? not just a torch carrier and not somebody expendable, but you get an NPC that helps you, but is also expecting things from you. So I was thinking about that. I think so too. Yeah, only the knight can have access to special armor that soaks damage. I think that's yes. I think that should certainly be a special feature of the knight. So okay, so I was thinking about that. So this may move. Like even access to that, so even access to that level of armor. I think let's make that full mail. I like this way this is shaking up. Let's see. Biju says sidekick character is very tricky to implement well and usually pretty annoying in index card RPGs owing to its very streamlined action economy. Less is more in this area, BGD says. Oh, so we've got to vote against having squires or apprentices come in. Okay, so let's go down and let's go down and talk weapons. Gear, index card, RPG, loot. Okay, so we just talked about shields. I was going to add, I was thinking about putting some stuff in here for the fox. Like a comparison or barding, which also make me think about, okay, we need to put like riding fox in here. And I was also trying to think, you know what? I don't have an idea for what kind of draft animal is in Rabivania. Because if you're talking about hauling around loot and things like that, what kind of animal would you think that, like, if a field mouse is working in the field, what kind of draft animal do you think that a mouse might have? Or if they're like driving a cart, or they have a cart to go on an adventure, or something like, Bill from the Lord of the Rings, taking a pony with you or a donkey or something. I wonder what the equivalent of that in Rabivania is. I haven't ever thought about that. So I've got that down here. Let's see. A Cory dog. I didn't think about a very small dog. A vole. Wait, let me refresh myself on that. These things wouldn't talk. Voles versus moles. That one could be. These wouldn't talk. They'd be the beasts of burden. Vole versus mouse. Voles and mice are small rodents that share some similarities, but they also have distinct features. Voles tend to be stockier, have shorter tails, and rounder heads. Are they going to be too close to be distinguishable on screen or something? A guinea pig or an armadillo? Guinea pig's a little bit larger. That might work in their favor. Guinea pig. That could be funny. I can see that the guinea pig kind of look here. Like if you have them like one hauling a cart, that could look pretty funny. And to it, which would be a benefit here. So like I said, the humor often comes from the look of something. So a guinea pig on a cart would be funny. And a hamster if I want it smaller than a guinea pig. Those are excellent ideas. Okay, I will think about those. Let's see. Yeah, and I'm afraid that you don't want it to look too similar to the mouse because the mouse is anthropomorphic. You don't want it to look too similar to the mouse. But a long time ago there were dogs, which is I guess is why I didn't think about that because the dogs were anthropomorphic, but they aren't anymore. Like I haven't included that at all in the latest version of Rabivania, so there is no like dog kingdom or anything like that. So some kind of dog could work, and that would also be visually distinctive enough. And people are used to like dogs doing work, like sled dogs and things like that. I mean, so a dog being useful and around could also probably works in its favor too. Okay, so just like BGD was talking about with the armor, I was trying to think of basically the same thing with these weapons. I was like, okay, since this is pick anything you want, you're picking it for your role play reasons, but also there doesn't need to be one that's like just the obvious best weapon, because there needs to be something that you can do with some of them that you can't with others. So yeah, these weapons need to be distinguished. They're not distinguished by damage, except in certain cases. I mean, most of these all do the same amount of damage. So the number of inventory slots that they take up, which is most of the time 1. So they're not really distinguished there. A few are. Most of them do the same amount of damage, with a few exceptions. So other things have to distinguish them, and there's no cost, so we got to do something else to distinguish them. So I think I have these roughly in alphabetical order at the moment. So I said arming sword and scabbard, a single pawed blade with scabbard, belt, and basic kit to keep the weapon sharp and well maintained. It's the quintessential knightly sword. So, I mean, you do need a standard. So that one's a standard. So that one could be it. I put short sword here. It seems like there should be a couple of different varieties. So how to distinguish the short sword from the arming sword? I guess I will come over here. Like for in the player's guide for index card, sword and scabbard, it just has sword and scabbard, a trusty blade for whatever size, or make suture training, leather sheath, belts, and sharpening kit if the blade is damaged. So that was where I kind of drew that one from. So they don't distinguish between a short sword and a long sword. They're just going, hey, you've got a sword and scabbard. So we might not end up distinguishing between the short sword and the arming sword, but we will see. They didn't. Battle axe. Okay, so battle axe here in Index Card RPG says a huge chopping weapon, 1 or 2 blades, damages timbers and structures, but impossible to conceal. So we could carry that over. And I'm thinking I've got paw axe too as an option. So this is a how many paws it takes to wield does matter here. It takes 2 paws to wield. And this should probably also take up takes 2 paws to wield and 2 inventory slots. A large I guess that's repeating myself. Large double-pawed axe with a long blade, long handle, and heavy blade. Now this could, I like the damages timbers or structures. I mean, I like that. Damage timber. That's the difference with the sword. I'm also thinking about like zombie side there. You use the axe to bash down some kind of door, but not an arming sword. Damage timbers. But impossible to conceal. And we could say that does Bill. So like BGDs, I've got too much here, But like, for instance, this was my brainstorm of different ones. Because right, BGD's correct here. If you're embracing and going along with the levels of extraction present in ICRPG, you don't have separate item listings for typical kinds of swords, only the ones that you intend to distinguish mechanically. Yeah, I agree. If they are not going to be distinguished mechanically, they need to be lumped together. That's how we'll know. Like the greatsword. The advantage of choice like this lends character creation is that it offers the player a wide latitude and great creative freedom in discovering and defining a character concept mechanically. Yeah, width and yeah, right. We don't have weapon damage types. So damage types is also something that we don't have here in ICRPG, but that would be another way. Dagger. Do we have dagger over here? I noticed there's knife belt, but I went ahead and added dagger here. One paw to wield, but does not take up an inventory slot so long as only one is equipped and carried. So there you go. You can take a dagger, throw a dagger in free if you're here. Now, the dagger does not work with the buckler. Now, the buckler's special ability here takes up no inventory slot when equipped with an arming sword or a short sword, if we were trying to distinguish these two. But the buckler does not protect you from missile weapons or provide its bonus against missile weapons. So the dagger and the buckler, if you're carrying a dagger and a buckler, you're going to have to pay one inventory slot. Just one inventory slot, which you could do it. But speaking of... BGD does bring in damage types. Really? Okay, so BGD says, agree, MC. One of the few 5e rules I port into my ICRPG games is damage types. I give monsters a homebrew to resistance to certain types of incoming damage. Well, that's interesting. You know, I like damage types when describing wounds and things. I don't think we'll have wound cards for later this month. But you know, I like damage types if using some type of the wound idea. What type of wound this is if you're trying to describe damage. But like at the moment, I've got too many different kinds of pole arms. I put these in. If we can't distinguish them mechanically, then they don't need to be separate. So like probably bill and glaive. I was trying to come up with some kind of pole arm that, you know, that irregular peasant infantry would have. And then, you know, because like this, you don't want this to be like the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons book that has like, you know, 30 different kinds of pole arms in it that really don't make any kind of difference. Right. So bill or glaive, I mean, this could be, you know, this pole arm, and then something that if there's going to be some kind of mechanical difference, one that's better, that's used by professional soldiers. Yeah, because I don't think we need to distinguish bill and glaive. Better probably is just to say pole arm. And say this could be a bill, glaive. And at the moment, we could just say halberd. Or other two-pawed weapon. And then what's the difference between it and a battle axe? Don't know yet. Oh, so you don't go into like or put slashing and thrusting and everything else specifically on the weapons. You don't have to describe damage types formally to use them. You can just say the magma monster is immune to fire and heat damage, or the ghost is immune to damage from non-magical attacks. So let's get rid of glaive here. And maybe halberd. Maybe they all just go under polearm. Got to make sure that the polearm is different enough from the battle axe. Let me move this down. So greatsword. Now this one comes over from index card, and I was kind of surprised to see. So we've got the greatsword, a two-handed sword, occupies 3 inventory spaces, but always inflicts ultimate damage, which is a lot. Suitable for a monster slayer. We will see how that goes. And now one thing I know, so I'm not sure what to do with the the lance right here. It's like, oh yeah, we definitely need to include a lance. So lance 1 pawed, but usable only when mounted. Like if the great sword is doing ultimate damage, then a knight on the charge with a lance should do ultimate damage, I think. And then that way, if you specialize in dealing ultimate damage, which sounds pretty cool, I'm a specialist in ultimate damage, then your weapons would really be great sword and also lance. That would allow you to put your points for the different effort types into ultimate and use a great sword and a lance, when mounted and dismounted, and maybe some other special weapon that does ultimate damage, like we talked about with special equipment. But okay, like a lance paw, so lance 1 pawed but usable only when mounted. When charging a foe from foxback, deal ultimate damage beyond the range at which at which a foe's single pawed melee weapon can strike. This could be near range. On any hit, roll 1d6. If the roll of a 1 or 2, the lance is shivered and useless. Better draw a secondary weapon. So like the spear, I noticed over here with the spear, it allows you to attack in index card RPG. It allows you to use this at to attack at near range as opposed to close range. Okay, mace. I don't have anything for you yet. I went ahead and included mace and chain because we do have this. I think it's kind of a strange name here, but we have Knight's Weapon Kit over here in Alfheim, which is a heavy black belt with a spiked mason chain flail on steel rings. Used against shields, degrades defense by 1 on each hit. So being that Bois Gilbert uses the mason chain, I bear mason chain this day. And that's so iconic from the 1950s Ivanhoe. I'm permitting it. It seems like it should be there. It just feels like it should be there. Whether or not it was really all that historical a weapon. Mason chain. I mean, we could also say in here, for character concept, or flail. But that gives you a mechanical thing to do. When used against an opponent with a shield, degrade defense by 1 for every miss within the margin of the shield's defense bonus, up to the defense value of the shield. At which time the opponent's shield is destroyed. Which is that basically? I added a little bit to it. This says when you what does it mean to? Because I asked, what does it mean to use against shields? But that's what it says over here in ICRPG. Used against shields degrades defense by 1 on each hit. Because I mean, you're obviously doing damage, or should be. But if you miss, if you strike the opponent's shield, you start to degrade their shield. And that's also, like we talked about this last time. Ivanhoe gets his shield torn off in the final battle. And was that because that was degraded by the mason chain, or did he use that sacrifice for that sword? Perhaps if the lance kills the target, then any remaining damage is done to the target behind that. That could be too. There could be an overkill rule here. to hit the second rank. Yeah, it never looked right at on an action figure. Might have to eventually do something special that actually uses a chain and add one of them. So paw axe. So I mean, this could. So one thing you could do is you could, if we want to be more general, is just make this paw weapon. So this would add in short sword, paw axe, mace. Maybe there's you could do that. Does that add in the knight's sword as well? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. So I mean that would be one thing. I guess you could give the paw axe. Now that's not a characteristic of the battle axe right here. But I mean, there's something to be said for each one of them being. I mean, I don't want to duplicate the weapons' different powers. So right now, the flail is the only one that does that. It like rips it off his arm in the movie. Quarterstaff. You got to have quarterstaff because then in Robin Hood, Errol Flynn's Robin Hood, the classic fight between Robin Hood and Little John being with quarterstaffs. So that seems important. The quintessential companion of the traveler, a fantastic way to be armed while looking relatively unarmed. Is that enough? It's a simple weapon. So spear. Okay, this is supposed to be a two-pawed spear. So we got Spearman's Kit over here in Elfheim, a 10-foot oak shaft with swappable blade tip that can be switched to hook, spearhead, or glaive. So they make that like a multi-tool, like the spear multi-tool. Blade tip can be switched back and forth, the Swiss Army knife of spears. Can attack targets at near range. So I took off the turning it into a Swiss Army knife and said two-pawed, can attack targets at near range and also from a second rank of fighters. And then Warhammer. Hits of 10 plus stuns the target for 1 round. So it does have Warhammer over here, a hefty, blocky weapon for smashing. Now, actually, I think that probably what it's talking about here, which is often the case in RPGs, if the Warhammer gets mixed up with the Maul. And so when it says a hefty, blocky weapon for smashing it sort of sounds like what it's talking about here is a Maul. Hits of 5 to 10 damage destroy 1 point of defense. 10 plus stuns the target for 1 round. So rather than have a Maul, I do want to have a Warhammer. So I was like, well, we make this the Warhammer, but let's make it actually a Warhammer and not a Maul. The chain flail, on the idea of it reaching behind a shield. I mean, if it even existed, the idea with the flails that can strike behind the shield, not necessarily destroy it, but possibly the arm hefting it. So Mike says, could bind or bypass a melee defense? It could. Did we say the pole arms? The pole arms attack. Yeah. Okay, so the pole arms do not attack at near range. They're shorter. Okay, that makes sense. So it's the spears that are the long things, so they can attack at near, but they don't do the extra damage. That seems to work. So the Warhammer, we could add in that hits of 5 to 10 damage destroy 1 point of enemy defense. 10 plus also stuns the target for 1 round. 1 point of target's defense. That could still work. That could still be Warhammer-like. It's just depicted. It's not depicted as a gigantic maul. For basic loot in Rabivania, you probably only need long blade, short blade, polearm, one-handed hammer club, two-handed club, hammer club, flexible weapon, throwing spear, archery, and other missile. Let me copy that down. Actually, that sounds a lot like MERP classifications. Let's see. Get it over here. Got to copy that to something else first. There we go. So this is your recommendation here. For basic loot items in Rabivania, you probably need long blade, short blade. So how do we distinguish the long blade from the short blade? Because I do like that. Like this, make this the arming sword, right here. Short blade, pole arm, okay. One-handed hammer, or club. Yeah, we don't have club listed. Two-handed hammer club, flexible weapon. Is that you're talking about flexible as in like the flail? Throwing spear. Yeah, we got that. Archery. We do have that archery and other missile. So, so down here, yeah, for ranged weapons, I do have short bow, crossbow, extra quiver case that's of arrows, and then short spear / javelin, and which is throwable. So this is not, yeah, this doesn't get you the range. Can be used with one paw. Throwable. So if you wanted to, and you fight like ancient Greek style, you could get the shield and spear. This is probably actually what a lot of like the raccoons would be using. Yeah, they've got spears, and that kind of covers it. I didn't add longbow here, so you could put longbow in, but we gave the longbow. It says fine longbow. We kind of gave the longbow as a special equipment to the ranger. That fine longbow, which we said may be way too powerful, but it may be that the just the way that the certain equipment like the armor is the purview of the knight, maybe the best of the missile weapons like the longbow should be restricted to the ranger. Crossbow, yeah. So short bow, crossbow. Now we do have crossbow over here, I think. Well, bow and quiver. Over here it says a recurve bow, either short or small, either short for small spaces or long for outdoor use. Empty. Oh yeah, we said empty quiver on natural roll of 1. Let's not do that. Let's actually track some kind of equipment here. But then also crossbow kit and bolt kit, a powerful mechanical weapon. Now this is still being Paul spanned in Rabivania, but I still think it works. Critical hits on natural 19 or 20. Crossbows can be spanned and held at the ready for longer. It's maybe 20. You could split bow from crossbows. Oh, hey, PH. Good morning. Oh, short blades also like daggers. I saw the mute notification go by. Ah, it muted me for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Okay, but I caught it. Yeah, it could be throwable. But this could also be large knife. You know, we could. I'll clean up these categories. Not large knife, large knife. So large knife, dagger, something like that. That's that kind of deal right here. And so yeah, I'm kind of getting the idea that maybe short sword. Let's just combine. Sword and scabbard. And we can even say either a knightly can range from a knightly arming sword to a shorter this is arming. I'll clean up that text later, but that moves sword and scabbard and sword and scabbard. That groups all those together. So basically, that's kind of making that the basic weapon, right? You know, they don't have any type of advantages, but they also don't have any type of great disadvantages. But why would you do that over a dagger? Actually, that makes the dagger look really good because it's one paw to wield, but does not take up an inventory slot so long as only one is equipped or carried. That kind of makes me think that needs to go down in damage because you're probably always going to. Now, if you take the sword and scabbard, then you can wear a buckler free. But if that doesn't matter and you're going to use some type of sword or some kind of other large kind of shield, then you'd still rather take the dagger because that's not taking up an inventory slot and it's throwable. Would it be heresy to make that go down in damage? You know, in the context of this game, because I would like the choices. I mean, I like this a lot because it's really making you make choices. Because many times anyway, when you're talking about just how much you can buy, you know, in a lot of games, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, the amount of coins you got ends up being so large that actually, you know, the cost of something, as far as your gold coins go, doesn't really matter often, you know, for this kind of gear, especially. Now, it might be, oh, you got to go buy a boat now. Okay, well, that's really expensive. But for the most part, the money doesn't matter. What matters more is what you're giving up or what you're choosing, what you're giving up or what kind of advantage you're gaining. And so you need that. Only one can be. Only basic damage. I don't know. Basically, you're only using your bare hands or your wits. Roll D4 to do damage with a punch, bend bars, the raw muscle, or take time to. So if you punch someone, you're also doing basic damage. I'm sure BGD will have a comment on that. Let's see. So how are you doing, PH? So BG says, I would lump most bows into a single category, although you could flavor each subcategory with a specific strength and weakness within the archery category. Why don't we just go ahead and do that right here? Instead of saying short bow, just let's just say bow, and then this can be, shorter, yeah, like it says over here, or longer. And then fine longbow is for the ranger. That the ranger has fine longbow. Where was I? Okay. Great sword, lance. Or category. So what did we kind of do here? So that brings up. So we got long blade and short blade. That would do that. Okay, pole arm we've got there. Archery we've got. See, throwing spear we got. Archery we got, and then other missile we got. We got the crossbow. One-handed hammer or club. No, club could go. Yeah, the warhammer is one-handed. So I think a club. What makes a club worse than a sword? That's not important. Like mechanically, from what we're talking about here, there are only so many things that we can just now that weapon types, damage types do. Longbow should be restricted to soldiers. Rangers can use short curved bows to hunt. But if you're the merry men, if you're Robin Hood, my thinking there was that Robin Hood has the longbow. When I think about Robin Hood and his merry men, I mean they're English, so I think about the longbows. Which means, maybe Sherwood Forest isn't that close. I mean, they probably have other bows as well for that kind of thing. But I think of them, the merry men, often, armed with longbows. In ICRPG, you want even new players to look at your character gen rules and build a viable PC in 5 minutes or less. You don't need a mountain of specific weapon choices. That's 5e thinking. Well, right. I mean, that's why, what are you going to do with a dagger? It's all based on certain assumptions. Better with Bacon says, I'm with BGD. Any length blade is just as deadly as any other. It's a matter of proximity and opportunity and application. I'm not trying to crack an iron breastplate with stiletto, but I can kill all the same. Yeah. BGD says, I would take away the dagger's inventory exception or guarantee that you'll have power gamers collecting infinite daggers. Well, no, you've got to pay if you're going to do that one. Because I did say only basic damage, but does not take up an inventory slot so long as only one is equipped or carried. So I didn't want the infinite to be here. But you think possibly remove this? That's the and then still give it D6 weapon damage. You want to add in slings and stones? We can add in slings. I did think about that when we were talking about the other weapon. So we can add in sling. Of course, the advantage there is using rocks. Now that one could be one like how much does a sling take up? But you got to carry around a whole bunch of rocks. So if it's just the sling, okay, do you really need to worry about that for inventory? But if you got to carry around a bag of rocks, then yes, it matters. In most outdoor settings, rocks for ammunition will be plentiful. Crossbows, sling. Okay, those are kind of in alphabetical order. Mauls and clubs can always push back or stun for 1 turn and a critical hit. Oh, yeah, you could do that. I'm not really a big maul fan, but some people are. I like Warhammers. I'll just make note of that. Mauls or clubs. Daniel wants the infinite daggers. Yeah. Okay, so we kind of go with that. Yeah, no infinite daggers. But that I thought yeah, only 1. If someone has a sling, unless they are isolated at sea, I usually let them have virtually unlimited ammo. Right, that's the advantage of that. It only takes 1 hand to sling the stone, but both hands are needed to free and load it. Yes. So 2 paws to load. But only a single paw to sling a stone. For some reason, I see a squirrel with a sling. I mean, this is a pretty good weapon list. I think this is shaping up pretty well here. Let's see. So that's still left kind of paw. Let's see, mace. Okay, club, but I mean that's gonna be the same kind of thing here. Okay, I think we basically have it sorted. I will think about something about a paw axe. I mean, because you could also take paw axe and put that under sword and scabbard. Single paw blade, or even a single pawed axe. I'll just make note of that. Could put in. Of course, you could put in the mace in here as well. I'm just going to make a note of that. This category could be generalized to the mace and the paw axe as well. And just make this paw axe. No, paw weapon. Especially at the moment, that might be easier. Because that way, everybody, if you're just using a single-handed kind of weapon, you're in this one right here. Yeah, on the other hand, if Rangers are a type of soldier that protects the forest, that makes sense. Acorns, yeah, they would have a bunch of acorns. The throwing daggers, let's see. Beware the throwing daggers. I once imploded a campaign with my master thrower. After that, all master throwers were killed and the class no longer is available. Well, with hey, good morning, TSL. So yeah, what's the mechanical difference? Now, obviously, as I was writing that up here, obviously, like damage type is one of them. But BG says, I do prefer to keep bladed weapons, swords and axes distinct from blade. So you would add in the axe to the swords, but maces, clubs. So Warhammer, we've got it separate. Maces and clubs. I will think on that. All right. Well, I have got a lot to do. I'm going to think on this further. I think we basically, we're probably not completely done with all of this yet. I probably will go with grouping these things together for the time being, and then finish making out some characters. I'm sure I'll notice some equipment that is missing here as I'm making some of the other character classes. Oh, this person would clearly need a whatever. It needs to be there. All right. Oh, well, thank you. I'm loving how this is shaping up. I'm loving how this is shaping up. Okay, I will talk to everybody later. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to see what I can do about what's going on Facebook. Remember, hey, check out the Cultists on Facebook if you'd like, because I'll probably be posting some stuff there. And I'll see you tonight. So tonight, season 2, episode 5, and then a live stream afterwards. Later, everybody.